Good morning, garden friends. It's Jersey Shore Lisa from MyNJGarden.com. Let's see what's happening in the garden today. Take a look at the rain garden. I have some butterfly weed here, and I expected monarch butterfly caterpillars to be the ones who were interested in the butterfly weed. But these guys are super fuzzy, and they're all over it, and they're devouring it. I have no idea what kind of caterpillars these are. Does anyone else know? This over here is the American beautyberry bush. And later in the season, these tiny flowers that are on here will turn into really cool looking purple berries. But right now, this bush sounds like an airport because there are so many bees all over it. And they're not honeybees, but they're these little native bumblebees. They're so cute and they're everywhere. The apples are a disaster this year. As every year, they are not happy at all. But this is the Asian pear tree, and it is full of fruit. I really should have thinned this more. I had no idea how successful this was going to be, but you can see that this branch is very weighted down. These fruit are nearly ripe. Hopefully they ripen before they break the branch. But there's some insect damage on them, but there's a lot here that's gonna be really good to eat. Here's the apple bed, and I've actually come through and picked off all the Honeycrisp apples so that they don't just rot on the tree and fall, and then I have to clean them up anyway. I might as well pick them off because they were awful. There's also a lot of damage from fungus on this tree. I don't know if I should keep it in the bed. That one, and then also look at all these berries on the black aronia berry bush. Oh, they look terrific. And I think they're just about as ripe as they're gonna get. So I should pick those. And then this is the golden delicious apple. And the same, these trees are just not successful in this yard. And these spots on the leaves look like they might be mosaic virus, which is just another pretty bad fungal infection for this tree. I'm picking off the apples and I'm just gonna get rid of them, which is a shame, but it was like super productive. It did put on a lot of fruit, and here's what's left to pick off. But they all were just way too damaged to salvage any of it. A couple of videos ago, I planted a Carolina allspice plant, and it was a bare root stick, and it's still a bare root stick. It did not make it. It just never came back to life. So I bought another one, and this one came with leaves on it, and it was a living plant, and that's been in the ground for a couple weeks now, and so I think that it's going to be fine in that spot. I did expand the rain garden a few weeks ago when I bought this fig tree from Home Depot that was on sale for 15 bucks. So I put this into the rain garden, and look, it has figs on it. How cool! It's a Chicago Hardy, so I'm not gonna wrap it. We'll see if it makes it. This is on the other side of the yard. The MyNJGarden ginger is doing beautifully. I can't wait to see. It's so lush. I don't know if I'll even be able to spot the flower buds when they come up at the base of the plant. Those are the edible part of this hardy ginger. This is new to the garden this year. And then we also put in a passion flower vine, and that is climbing this trellis very well. And then we also have the American groundnut, Apios americana. That is flowering now. That's a native perennial vine in the legume family. So you can see it's coming through the fence. It's actually planted on the other side. but the flowers are such a pretty color. I really like them. I hope that they remain really successful in this yard. Over here, we can see that the grapes have graped. So these grapes are overgrowing this fairly small trellis. It's not a small trellis, it's an arbor, and it's a decent size, but not big enough for 2 grapevines. So I bought another one that's identical to it, and I'm going to put it a little further down the yard, closer to me, so that I can extend the grapes over 2 of them, and hopefully that will be large enough for these 2 vines. On the right side here, these are green grapes. They're seedless. Some of them are rotten and gross looking, but some of them look okay. The ones that are coming out to look okay are not really all that tasty. They're not very sweet. But on this side, we have some red grapes, and they're pretty delicious. Again, they're not all perfect looking. So the ones that look good, I taste them, and they're really good. So hopefully I can encourage these vines to do well in this space, and we'll be able to get some more tasty grapes off of them. This is the elderberry. We haven't had rain in a long time, so it's been a particularly hot summer for New Jersey, and I guess everywhere. We're going to be in the mid-90s today, and we've been in the 90s for weeks now. The elderberry looked really upset yesterday and very wilted, so I came out here with the hose and specifically watered it. I never really do that to the elderberry, but it needed it desperately, and it seems to be satisfied with that happening yesterday. It is very early in the morning, so it's had some time to recuperate overnight. The smaller elderberry that was planted over there, I did take it down when I put in the Carolina allspice. It barely flowered. It would flower like once every other year, but I think that it did do its job as far as being a pollinator for this elderberry bush. Because the other one didn't flower, maybe that's why, or maybe it was just the stress of the weather, but there are very few berries that have set on this plant this year. It flowered beautifully, and I enjoyed those flowers, but I'm not going to have very many berries to enjoy on this plant this year. Elderberry sucker, and though I did take down the main plant, there are little babies coming up nearby, so I am going to let those recover and hopefully flower and help to pollinate my main elderberry bush. So here we are. This is what the food forest looks like in August 2022. There have been some really hot days. I haven't been watering all that much, so a lot of the perennials have been very stressed. It hasn't looked gorgeous out here to make videos to share with you all, but I have to share what's actually happening. This is real life. This is dotted horse mint. It's also in the Monarda family, and you can see it's actually blooming. It's actually not a reliable perennial. I believe it's a biennial because it does move around the yard, but this is the second year for this plant being in this space. It's really beautiful. The pollinators love it. And then also the jujube is putting on some really nice fruit this year as well. This is the Shanxi Li variety, and you can see some there and some there. There's some really all over this tree, and I'm very happy with it because these are really delicious, tasty fruits. For the most part, we haven't had that much success. The peaches still aren't producing peaches that I would want to eat. They seem to be kind of rock hard and have a little too much insect damage for my taste. The beach plums are putting on some plums, but they have insect damage too. I'm gonna leave those for the wildlife. I've picked off a couple and eaten them along the way, but I'm not getting a really viable harvest from those this year. Look at this crazy lily kind of a flower. I don't even know. It's Ismeni. It's really wild looking. And this is the cup plant. I did trim this back earlier in the season thinking that it would recover nicely, but it took a while to send up some more shoots, only because cup plant gets really tall and it's kind of on its own here, and I didn't want it to fall over. That's why I trimmed it back, but I may not do that next year. Maybe I'll stake it because it's blooming now. Just the one bloom at this point, but I see pollinators on it almost every time I come by. So I'd like to encourage that to do really well. Thank you for watching. I figured I'd come and record a video while I was on my way out to the compost pile to dump the compost from inside the house. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I'll see you again soon.